So aside from all of these things, though, we have to talk about the other major element to the Texas shooting incident, which is the failure of police. Now, if you haven't been following this, it's pretty atrocious. We're going to actually quote Ike Saul from Tangle News, who's a really impeccable journalist and gave a great account. He said, the account of events from police and law enforcement has at times been contradictory and unclear, including initial reports that a gun battle took place outside the school and that the shooter wore body armor, both of which appear to be inaccurate. Border Patrol, local Uvalde police, and the county sheriff's department were all at the school shortly after the shooter arrived, but were ordered not to storm the classroom where he had barricaded himself. The delay in confronting the shooter, who was inside the school unimpeded for more than an hour, has become the center of the story. Pedro Arnardo, the chief of the Uvalde Police Department, which oversees all 8 of Uvalde schools, told law enforcement on the scene to hold off on storming the classrooms, according to state police. Meanwhile, inside, children were calling 911 as the shooter barricaded himself inside a classroom. Officials had previously said an armed school resource officer confronted the shooter as he arrived, but Victor Escalon, a regional director for the Texas Department of Public Safety, said that account was also incorrect. One mother on the scene, whose children were inside the school, says she was handcuffed by police for disturbing their investigation as she urged them to enter the building. Eventually, she convinced officers to remove her handcuffs, then scaled a fence, entered the school on her own, found her 2 children, and removed them, according to the Wall Street Journal.
Wow, the incompetence there permeates through the entire story. Especially, and if we give them the utmost benefit of the doubt, we can say it was mistakes and incompetence and not lies, but we'll see. But how they couldn't even accurately tell the public or the media what happened. Not just one thing they got wrong, but law enforcement said that an officer engaged him, said he was wearing body armor, that the gun battle took place outside the school. There's so much misinformation here. And this is, Hannah, this is why you and I don't rush to hot takes in the 24 hours after, because all of this, I mean, people were posting online that this was a transgender illegal immigrant shooter. And that was not true at all. That was from some 4chan post. But you and I, we don't hop on rumors and stuff. We wait for the facts to come out. But the facts show like police incompetence and misleading the public galore here. And that's not even touching yet on the fact that they stood by for so long.
I mean, yes, I think you can say it's gross negligence, incompetence, but it gets to a point where I find it downright inhumane. I am not a cop. I am not paid to act on behalf of anybody. I am a citizen, but you could not have stopped me from running into that school. It makes absolutely no sense. I think it is a rot inside our policing institution that they do not feel that they have a responsibility or duty to act, because the Supreme Court has told them that they don't. They don't have to fear being held liable under qualified immunity. And I think as a whole, policing now has this mentality in our country that they come first. Their lives, I've heard them say this, our lives come first. Our safety comes first. Me getting home safe at night is the top priority. No. That is not why we're paying you. If that is what this institution is, it is time to defund it, give people back their money, and let us hire private security, because it's getting ridiculous. I mean, these people will storm your house in the middle of the night to get some weed, but they won't go after a school shooter and defend little kids. And 19 kids got shot that day while they stood outside. Like, the fact that there is not going to be repercussions for this is infuriating to me. I think it's something that every American should be livid over. And what I want to know, Brad, is are you ready to defund the police? Because I feel like, to me, these are things I've known that police do for some time. But this incident, I feel like, is helping a lot of Americans see just what's going on behind the scenes with these people.
Well, there's a lot there. So let me respond to it in a couple pieces. First and foremost, I agree. I mean, I can't imagine being in that situation as an officer, but I also didn't sign up to become a police officer, right? The reason they get the pay and the veneration in our society that they do is because they sign up to put their lives on the line to protect the innocent and the vulnerable. That's what we're told. And these folks that refuse to do so, or were ordered not to do so, let alone stopping the parents, which is just demonic that they did that. Yeah. They failed. They failed the community. Obviously, the shooter bears the ultimate blame for his killings, but they could have mitigated loss of life here. The kids were calling 911 while this happened. And so I hope they never sleep at night again, the officers that failed to act. And your point is well taken about qualified immunity. I'm absolutely down. So they will almost certainly be immune from civil liability. but they should at the very least be fired. And I think they can be. Watch the unions figure out some way to protect them. They should, everyone who made this decision or who stood by, they should all be terminated and never work in law enforcement again. They failed the community. They failed their promises. In terms of, am I on board with defund the police? It kind of means, what does defund the police mean? Because defund the police, activists have said sometimes that it means decrease police budgets, and some have said it means completely eliminate their budgets and abolish the police. And those are two different things. I'm definitely not on board with the latter. There's a lot of problems with policing in our country, but ultimately there are still a lot of crimes solved and a lot of crimes deterred by the prospect of police. Defund the Uvalde police. How about that? We need to see actual repercussions for police that mess up. And so, they should have their budget slashed, right? The head should roll, metaphorically, of course, and people should be fired and never work again. And they should have their budget. We never touch the police budgets, right? Even the few cities that defunded the police, most of them ended up giving back the money a few months later, quietly. So I think their budget should be cut. And for sure, what's the point of them? Seriously, the one time that they were really needed in this community, it was ultimately the Border Patrol that went in and killed the shooter. It wasn't even the Uvalde police. And that was after the police held up the Border Patrol and didn't let them go in when they wanted to go in. And then they just went in anyway and killed him. So it's absolutely, this police department, oh my Lanta. I can't even believe that they've done this. There should be enormous accountability. I am not anti-police. I think there's a lot of brave officers out there, and there are many stories of police doing heroic things, but this is the opposite of that. This is a national disgrace. It should be thoroughly investigated. And I don't want there to be a mob witch hunt mentality. There should be a thorough investigation that lays out all the facts of exactly what happens, but then there should be extremely severe repercussions for anyone involved in this. Because why are we even talking about gun control, right? This could have just been stopped, or I'm sorry, I don't think it could have been stopped, but it could have been vastly mitigated if police just did their jobs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's unfathomable to me that people would want to take away Americans' guns and ability to defend themselves when cops won't even intervene on your behalf. What? You're going to make us even more dependent on these people? I am so disgusted by it. I really do think, it's time for the good cops that are out there. And I hear this all the time. There's lots of good cops. Cool. Rise up. Get rid of this rot in your institution. Start working with us for major reforms, for accountability, to actually push these losers out who are just sitting there sucking on the taxpayers' teat, trying to take money and never want to actually step in to defend us. I'm so done with these people. And I'm also so done with being told, not all cops. I realize not all cops, but I'll tell you what, I don't see cops working for reform next to me at state legislatures. I don't see them in the media pushing for more accountability. And it's time for them to, if they're actually there, rise up against these institutions and actually try to push people like this out. You know who they are. You know who these people are on your forces. You know who the bad apples are. And as our boss actually wrote a fee one time, a bad apple and a crate of barrels of apples makes the whole thing go rotten. Okay, so there's a contamination that has to be cut out. And if they don't want to get defunded, it's time for major reforms and people who actually do have to work for us. And actually, where I'm at is I'd rather just replace them all with military members. Get some veterans, put them in the schools. I don't think we'd have these issues anymore.